All right, so here's a video. Here's a video that a lot of people sent me this week. It was about these fucking banker cocksuckers there. Let's see, what is it here? This is in the BBC News. HSBC imposes restrictions on large cash withdrawals. All right, and so at HSBC, some customers have been prevented from withdrawing large amounts of cash because they could not provide evidence of why they wanted it, the BBC has learnt. Isn't it learned? Has learnt? Anyways, listeners have told Radio 4's Money Box, not to be confused with Nature's Box, they were stopped from withdrawing amounts ranging from £5,000 to £10,000. HSBC admitted it has not informed customers of the change in policy which was implemented in November. The bank says it has now changed its guidance to staff. So basically, this guy went down. They said, "Can I have my £5,000 that I earned and I put in this bank for safety?" They said no. He said, "Can I have £4,000? They said no. And then I wrote one out, I guess one withdrawal slip for £3,000, and they said, "Okay, we'll give you that." Blah, 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 blah. So they got a bunch of bad press, and now allegedly they're changing it. So a bunch of people said, what the fuck's with these banker cunts? It's our money, yada, 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 and all that shit. I got news for you. It's not your money. All right? It's their money. They print it. It's theirs. Okay? And your job is to take the money that they give you for working your ass off all week, and your job is to then take that money and give it back to them, or get your ass into debt with it. Think about it. You work all fucking week. Do you even hold money in your fucking hand anymore? They give it to you on this fucking piece of paper, all right? I know a lot of people are rolling their eyes right now, okay, but I got a point at the end of this shit. Okay? You take it down to these fuckers, and you just give it to them. Now, this is the thing. The reason why they didn't give that person the £10,000, do you know why they didn't give it to him? It's because they don't have it. I'm not saying that they don't physically have £10,000 in the bank. Yes, they do. But they don't have £10,000 available to give to just some random jackass who goes, "Oh, by the way, I want to take £10,000 out right fucking now." They don't have it. Well, I don't know about how it works in England, but as far as in the United States, they don't have it for the simple fact that if you went down and you deposit some regular fucking Tom, Dick, Harry, or Louise, and you deposit 10 grand into a bank, back in the old days, when there was some sort of rules and regulations governing these out-of-control cunts, when you ran a bank, you had on your books, like, you could only loan out a certain percentage of the money, or the bank was in violation. Like say, let's just say, to make it easy, that $1 million was deposited into your bank. You could only, during that time, you could only loan out, I don't know what the percentage was, but it was like 300 grand of it, 400 grand. I forget what the percentage was, but you couldn't go past a certain tipping point, because God forbid, if there was a run on money and everybody started withdrawing, the bank would fail. Now, any bank, if everybody shows up and tries to take the money out, is going to fail, because, they loan out a certain percentage of it. All right? But throughout the years, they kept pushing that percentage up more and more and more and more, to the point that they got up to, not only can they loan out 100% of the deposits from the hard work and the people that deposit the money in there, they can actually then create another $2 million off that million, something like that. Like, so if you deposit 10 grand, they can take your full 10 grand, loan it out, plus another 10 grand off that 10 grand, plus another 10 grand off that 10 grand. So they basically just invented / counterfeited 20 grand that didn't even fucking exist off that 10 grand. They got 30 grand loaned out so they can make the money off that, fucking 20% interest off of that, kicking you 0.5% in your fucking account. And they just sit there Knowing full well at some point whatever bubble they're creating is going to burst, shit is going to hit the fan, you're going to be ass out, and they're too big to fail. And at worst case scenario, that you're going after a corporation, and what are they? They're faceless. Corporation is faceless. They take their bonuses. It's just sitting there waiting for John Cougar Mellencamp to write you a fucking song at fucking Jackass Aid, and they're out there buying a new fucking yacht. All right? Did that make sense? And I know you guys are going to be like, oh, you're full of shit, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You sound like a moron. Hey, I'll take all of that. But I'm going to tell you this. For like the fucking 100th time in my stand-up career, when I was in Albuquerque, I had a banker come up to me and was laughing, going, I know you hate us. And I said, listen, am I a moron in the podcast? And they always say no. They go, no, you're not. You know, there's some factual errors a little bit here or there, but basically what you're saying is 100% true. I taught conspiracy theory one time in my own bank. As I was trying to set something up new on my account, I was talking to a banker about conspiracy theory, and he was talking about banking. He was talking about how scary and fucked up it was, and he was asking me what I planned to do. What do you think about gold and silver coins? What do you think about growing zucchini? And I was the most, he was whispering and shit. I'm telling you. And I have no solution. So what I'm really being right now is a fucking fearmonger. But this is the great thing about banking is that, you know, I would say a good 95% of people walking around with a fucking goddamn Tootsie Pop in their mouth, pulling their fucking Hawaiian shorts out of their ass crack, believe in it. All right? And as long as they continue to believe in it, you can kind of exist in the game, drafting behind their uninformed, I don't know what the fucking word is. I'm too stupid to do this. But you just basically, like, I don't know. I am of the belief that if you can get a fucking house, buy one that you can afford, and then pay that fucker down as soon as you can, and all of that shit that people say where they go, oh, it's not an investment because you got to... Dude, fuck that. Pay off your fucking house. And then if the bank fails, you still have a house. Who gives a fuck if you paid $700,000 for it, now it's only worth $100,000? You still have a house. As much as that sucks, at least you still have it. Like the fucking stock market, right? You work your whole goddamn life, you stick it in that, you stick it in this, over there, and you think you're being conservative. The thing shits the bed. And in the end, you can be left with nothing. So I am into tangible shit. Can you tell I screamed? Whenever I do a podcast the day after I went to a game or I did a lot of shows, I sound like I'm going through puberty again. I apologize. But I believe in investing in tangible shit. And don't let your wife or your husband be like, oh, we got kids. We got to save up for their college education. You know what? Fuck their college education. All right? Take out a loan. Take out a fucking loan. You're paying interest on your house now. The amount of money that you're going to save knocking down your principal will pay for most, if not all, of their college education. All right? Unless they just go to some unbelievably expensive school and you're, I don't know, living in some little house on the prairie, Michael Landon, smoking a pipe. So there you go. So that's why. That's why when they go down there. Because they're not going to give $10,000 or 10 pounds to the average jackass walking in there, because that starts fucking with their game, which is pretending that all the money is there and that it's safe and that there's nothing to worry about and nothing to see here. So what they do is they pull this shit and they bully people individually over in the corner behind that bulletproof glass. And they're like, no, you have to get a note and blah, 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 blah. And most people, like, they have a parent-child relationship their entire life. They come out as a child. Their parents tell them what to do, what they can and can't do, when they can eat, when they have to go to bed, and they go off into the world. You know, you go to school. We're going to lunch now. If you have a question, raise your hand. And you stay in that mentality. So to the point you have a fucking adult who earned the money will go into a bank God bless this person who actually fucking was like, no, this is my money, and complained and brought this out to light. But do you think this is the only person they did that to? The money's not there, man. Yeah, like if you had like $200,000-300,000 in an account and you decide that you just want to fucking take it out, like if you physically want the money. If you want to transfer it, like fucking numbers, hit enter, they'll fucking do that all day. Oh yeah, no worries. But if you actually wanted the paper, like you can't just walk in there and be like, yes, I'd like my $300,000. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And come out with big sacks of money. You got to call them days, if not a week in advance. And then what they got to do is frantically call around and find an armored car with enough of this paper that isn't worth shit other than the fact that the guy with the underwear in his ass still believes in it. They got to drive that there so they can physically keep the lie going. All right? There you go. So that's the end of my fucking barroom banking 101. All right? And, I don't give a fuck about your opinions either because I'm not enlightened as a human being. If you don't agree with what I said, then, just laugh at me and continue on with your fucking day because you're actually helping me out as long as you keep fucking believing in it. But I think the wave hitting the beach is coming soon because, at least in this country. I mean, the government shut down for 3 fucking days. And I know it made for great stand-up material, but that is absolutely fucking terrifying. Every year when August comes around and we hit the debt ceiling and we just keep raising it, and we just keep pushing more of shit under the bed, like eventually it's not all, I don't know, that's probably the wrong analogy. I don't know what the fuck we're doing, but eventually the shit is going to hit the fan. So, I'm not saying I'm going to survive it, whatever the fuck happens, but I do have a game plan. My game plan is to pay off my house as quickly as I can. So when the first wave of people are being brought to the, I don't know what euphemism they're going to be using for detention camps, I figured it'll be like, well, you can't pay off your house for repossessing the house, so now we're going to move you to alternative relaxing living, whatever the fuck they're going to call it. At least I won't be in that first wave of people. I will have my house paid off, and I will stand there dressed like a court jester with my little fancy cane going, but get off my property. And they'll look at me and be like, oh, look at this little cunt thinking he has power. All right, we'll be back for you. We'll be back for you in like a month or so. Let's just get the mouth breathers first. Let's get the easy people, then we'll weed out the red cunts. And then it'll all be up.